Hello, welcome back, Track 4 families. We had a great first week back. Just a quick announcement about next week. We do not have school on Tuesday for Election Day. The students do not have school on Tuesday. All right, as far as math class, Math 6 will have our first test of the quarter on Wednesday. We did some practice problems today in class. We will do the study guide on Monday, and then they will have their first major on Wednesday. That major will be on unit rates. All right, Math 6 Plus, we will also have our first major next week. That will be on Thursday. We will do practice problems on Monday, study guide on Wednesday, and then the test will be Thursday. Those are posted in Google Classroom if they'd like to get a head start over the weekend on any of that. All right, have a great weekend.
Hi, OWL families. It's Mrs. Pedersen with your ELA update. This week we started Module 2 and we are learning all about life in the Middle Ages. So if you have a chance, ask your kids about what they've learned about life in the Middle Ages and how it's very different from what we experience now. Next week we will start working on research. Homework tonight was to complete an exit ticket deciding whether or not they wanted to research serfs and peasants or lords and ladies. And they do have to choose one of those two groups to research. We will start with our research text, and then we'll get into writing our first essay of the quarter, which will be adversities faced by different groups of people in the Middle Ages. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy Halloween.
Hello, OWL families. This is Mr. O with our science update. This week we started our new unit of waves. We really focused on the two different types of wave movements and labeling the parts and features of those. Next week we're going to move into the different types of wave, which is electromagnetic and mechanical. We'll be comparing those. We have some labs set up next week. We have a wave machine to build. We have some stations to complete. So the two keywords you'll be hearing a lot next week is electromagnetic and mechanical, if they're talking about science at home. Hopefully they are. Have a good weekend. Be safe trick-or-treating if you're going outside.
Okay, how about a little social studies update for us? So we started our third unit, which is on religion or world religions. And so we're going to be talking about the history of beginning of religions. And so this week we started with a conversation around cultures, traditions, customs, how those develop and how they change over time, how traditions are passed down from generation to generation, but then how those generations sometimes change things. Today, we actually got to talk about Halloween because it has some very interesting traditions that go back to the kind of Celtic world, pre-Christian Ireland and Scotland. And we talked about Samhain and some of the traditions that these Celtic people had that have been passed down into our kind of modern world, trick-or-treating and gourds and pumpkins that are carved and the different things that happen on Halloween, and how that kind of has passed down from our generations from generations. We've talked a little bit about the idea of monotheism and polytheism, one God versus many gods, and then we'll continue with that conversation next week as we start to introduce ourselves to some of the 5 major world religions. So we're going to talk a little bit about Hinduism and Buddhism. We'll talk about Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and then sprinkle in some of the Chinese philosophies like Taoism and Confucianism as we understand what these religions are about and how people that practice those religions might understand the world. So that's what we're going to continue with the next couple of days. I do have a book order that is going out. It's going to be due on Wednesday. So I'll put that in the email with some interesting things, including this brand new book, or this book, Wink, which is our community reads book. And so if you don't have a copy of it, we've got 40 copies of it in the library, or it's in the book order for $5. All right, friends, have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week.